The sun doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It rises whether you're prepared or not, and somewhere out there right now, someone is already moving while you're still deciding whether today counts. That's the part nobody tells you about mornings. They're not a soft warm-up to the day. Every single one is a verdict on who you're becoming, whether you show up for it or not. Most of us treat mornings like a formality, something to survive on the way to the parts of life that actually matter. But the Stoics understood something different. They understood that the first hour of your day isn't a preview of your life. It is your life, compressed into a single decision repeated every 24 hours. Get up with purpose, and you practice becoming the person you claim you want to be. Get up in chaos, and you practice becoming exactly who you already are. Notice that word again, practice. The Stoics never believed in arriving at wisdom and staying there permanently. They believed in daily repetition, small acts performed again and again until they stopped requiring effort and simply became who a person was. A morning is the smallest, most repeatable unit of that practice available to you. You don't need a decade to change your life. You need roughly 365 mornings used differently than the ones before them. Today, I'm walking you through 10 Stoic laws that will change the way you see every single morning from this point forward. Not motivational fluff, actual principles the Stoics lived by, translated into tools you can use starting tomorrow. This is a long one, because a life doesn't get rebuilt in 5 minutes, and neither does a morning. Stay with it to the end, because the laws build on each other, and the last few will hit differently once you understand the ones that come before them. Before we begin, take 1 second to subscribe to this channel. It helps bring this wisdom to more people who need it. Let's dive in. The first law is this: time does not negotiate. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself not to live as if he had 10,000 years left, because the end of opportunity hangs over every single day, whether we notice it or not. Most people treat someday like a safe word. Someday I'll start. Someday I'll change. Someday I'll finally take myself seriously. But someday is where dreams go to quietly die, one delayed morning at a time. Think about the version of you from 5 years ago. Whatever they were putting off for later is either done by now, or it's still sitting there untouched, 5 years older and no closer to happening. That's what time does when you assume it owes you patience. It doesn't. It simply continues, with or without your participation. Now think about it from the other direction. Somewhere right now, someone with fewer resources than you, less time than you, more obstacles than you, is already up, already moving, already closing the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Time isn't waiting for either of you. It's simply passing, and only one of you is using it. There's a reason the Stoics kept returning to this idea of mortality, not to be morbid, but to be honest. When you genuinely accept that your mornings are finite, not infinite, your relationship to the snooze button changes completely. It stops being a small, harmless comfort and starts looking like what it actually is, a tiny withdrawal from an account that never gets refilled. Nobody on their deathbed has ever wished for more mornings spent scrolling before getting up. That clarity is available to you right now, for free, if you're willing to actually sit with it instead of scrolling past it. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the control audit. Each morning before you touch your phone, ask one question: what is inside my control today, and what am I only pretending to control by worrying about it? Then spend your first hour only on the first category. That single habit alone will separate you from most people still negotiating with their alarm clock, snoozing their way through the only leverage they actually had that day. If this law hit you, drop a comment right now, Law 1. And tell me the one thing you keep pushing to someday. The second law is this: you are the one thing you cannot afford to neglect. It sounds almost selfish until you consider the alternative. Epictetus taught that we should guard our mind and body the way a soldier guards a fortress. Because if the fortress falls, everything inside it falls with it. Your dreams, your family, your work, none of it survives if you don't survive it first, whole and functioning. Picture two versions of the same person waking up on the same morning. One reaches for the phone immediately, absorbing everyone else's opinions, everyone else's crisis, everyone else's highlight reel, before forming a single thought of their own. By the time they're out of bed, their nervous system has already fought 15 battles that weren't theirs to fight. The other drinks water, breathes, moves their body for a few minutes, and sets one intention before the world gets a vote. Same sunrise, completely different day ahead of them, and it was decided in the first 10 minutes. Here's a second way to see this. Athletes don't walk onto the field cold. They warm up, they stretch, they prepare the body before demanding performance from it. Most people demand a full day of performance from a mind and body that never got a warm-up at all, then wonder why they feel like they're running on empty by 9 in the morning. There's a version of this that shows up physically too, not just mentally. Skipping water, skipping movement, skipping real food in favor of caffeine and momentum, all of it sends the same message to your nervous system, that you are a resource to be extracted from rather than a person to be maintained. Your body keeps that score, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, and eventually it presents the bill, usually at the worst possible moment, in the form of exhaustion, illness, or a body that simply refuses to keep pace with your ambition anymore. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the first hour rule. Nothing that isn't yours gets access to your mind in the first 60 minutes of the day. No notifications, no group chats, no comparison. Protect that hour like it's the only real estate you'll ever own, because in a way, it is. It's the only part of the day nobody else has claimed yet. If you've ever felt guilty for taking care of yourself first, hit like on this video right now. That guilt was never yours to carry. The third law is this: your regret is only a debt if you refuse to collect the lesson inside it. Epictetus put it plainly that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Regret is exactly that kind of suffering. Replaying a door that's already closed, as if replaying it could somehow reopen it. It can't, but it can teach you something if you're willing to let it. Picture someone driving while staring only at the rearview mirror. That's what living in regret looks like from the outside. You're guaranteed to crash into the present because you're not watching where you're actually going. The road ahead doesn't stop moving just because your eyes are fixed behind you. Here's another way this shows up. Someone spends years regretting a relationship that ended, replaying every version of what they could have said differently. Meanwhile, a new opportunity for connection walks past them daily, invisible, because all their attention is spent maintaining a museum for something that's already over. There's a subtler version of this trap that catches even disciplined people. It's not the big regret, the failed business, the ended marriage. It's the quiet, accumulating regret of small mornings wasted, stacked so gradually you never notice the weight until years have passed. That kind of regret doesn't announce itself with pain. It announces itself with a strange, hollow feeling on your 40th or 50th birthday, wondering where exactly all those ordinary Tuesdays went. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the lesson extraction. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What does this make me capable of now that I wasn't before?" Write the answer down, in one sentence, no more. That single sentence turns a wound into a weapon you actually get to use, instead of a wound you simply keep reopening for no reason. The fourth law is this: every morning, you're either building your dream or renting your hours to someone else's. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person's worth is no greater than the worth of what they aim for. Look around you right now. The chair you're sitting on, the app playing this video, the coffee on your desk. All of it was somebody's someday, until they stopped waiting for permission and started building before the world woke up and demanded their attention elsewhere. This doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow, and it doesn't mean recklessness. It means claiming 20 minutes, even 10, before the day demands you belong to it entirely. A page written, a skill practiced, a single next step taken towards something that's actually yours, not assigned to you by someone else's calendar. Consider two co-workers with identical jobs. One spends every morning consuming, scrolling, reacting, arriving at work already spent. The other spends 20 minutes before work on a skill, a side project, a piece of the life they're actually trying to build. 5 years later, their jobs still look identical, their lives do not. There's also a quiet trap worth naming here. Some people convince themselves they're waiting for the right season to start. More free time, less stress, a better mood. But the right season, examined honestly, almost never arrives on its own. It gets built 20 minutes at a time by someone who stopped waiting for permission from circumstances that were never going to volunteer it. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the sacred 20. 20 minutes every morning that belongs only to the version of you that you're trying to become. No exceptions, no negotiating it away for extra sleep. Protect it like your future is watching, because it is, closer than you think. If you're currently building someone else's dream on borrowed time, comment Law 4 below and tell me what your 20 minutes would go toward if you started tomorrow. The fifth law is this: build in silence and let your results do the announcing. Epictetus warned that the more we chase approval, the less free we actually become. Every time you announce a plan before it has roots, you hand strangers a vote on something that was never theirs to weigh in on. Doubt, envy, unsolicited opinions, they all rush in through the door you opened by talking too soon. Think of your goals like seeds. Dig them up constantly to show people your progress, and they never grow real roots, no matter how good your intentions were. Leave them buried, watered quietly, undisturbed, and eventually they become something no one can argue with, because it's already standing in front of them, undeniable. There's a second reason silence matters here. When you talk about a plan out loud, your brain often releases the same satisfaction it would get from actually doing it. The conversation feels like progress, and that false sense of progress quietly kills your motivation to do the real work. Silence isn't just protection from other people, it's protection from your own brain's shortcuts. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the 90% rule. Don't share the plan until it's at least 90% built. Before that point, every conversation about it is just borrowed motivation dressed up as progress. Real progress doesn't need an audience yet, and it certainly doesn't need permission. If you've made it this far, notice something. You haven't skipped ahead. That already puts you in a different category than most people who click on a video like this. So, let's keep going, because the next 5 laws go even deeper than the first 5. The 6th law is this: not every voice in your life has earned a seat in your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the opinion of 10,000 people means nothing if none of them actually understand the subject. Volume was never proof of wisdom, and yet most of us give equal weight to a stranger's doubt and a mentor's hard-earned insight, simply because both were said out loud with the same confidence. Would you take financial advice from someone drowning in debt? Would you take peace advice from someone who has never once sat still in their life? Then why do their opinions about your morning, your goals, your pace still get to live rent-free in your head, shaping decisions they'll never actually be responsible for? There's a second layer to this law worth naming. Sometimes the loudest voice questioning your plan isn't a stranger, it's someone close to you, speaking not from malice, but from their own fear of being left behind. Understanding that doesn't mean you owe them access to your decisions. It just means you can release the sting without releasing the boundary. There's also a version of this that happens entirely inside your own head. Not every doubt you feel in the morning is actually your voice. Some of it is an old teacher, an old parent, an old ex, still speaking through your own inner monologue, uninvited and unexamined for years. Filtering voices isn't only about muting other people. Sometimes it means noticing which of your own thoughts were never actually yours to begin with and quietly retiring them. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the source check. Before letting any piece of advice change your direction, ask one question. Does this person actually live the result I'm chasing? If the answer is no, let the words pass through you like weather, not like law. Share this video right now with someone who keeps taking advice from people who've never built what they're trying to build. It might be the exact reminder they need today. The seventh law is this: your environment decides before your willpower ever gets the chance to. We like to believe discipline is purely internal, a matter of grit and willpower alone. But the Stoics understood that the wise person arranges their surroundings to make virtue easier and vice harder, because willpower is a limited resource, and environment is a force that works whether you're paying attention to it or not. Think about the phone charging next to the bed versus the phone charging across the room. Same person, same intentions, wildly different mornings. Because one version of that room makes scrolling the path of least resistance, and the other makes getting up the path of least resistance. Here's a second example. Someone trying to build a reading habit keeps their book buried in a drawer and their phone on the nightstand. Another person keeps the book open on the pillow and the phone charging in the kitchen overnight. Neither person has more willpower than the other. One of them simply stopped relying on willpower to do a job that architecture could do instead. This law matters more than most people give it credit for, because willpower is a resource you spend down over the course of a day, not an infinite well you can draw from forever. Every decision you outsource to your environment is a decision your willpower never has to make, which means it's still available later for the moments that actually require it. Instead of being wasted at 7 in the morning resisting a phone that never should have been within reach in the first place, here's a tool for this law. Call it the friction flip. Identify one habit you want more of and remove one step of friction between you and it. Identify one habit you want less of and add one step of friction between you and it. You're not disciplining yourself into a new life. You're designing a room that makes the new life the easier choice. The eighth law is this: what you feed your mind first decides what grows in it all day. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our life is what our thoughts make it, and thoughts don't appear from nowhere. They're planted by whatever we expose our mind to first. Fill the first 10 minutes with comparison, outrage, or someone else's crisis, and don't be surprised when the rest of your day inherits that same weather. Picture two people again, because the contrast is where the lesson lives. One opens social media, the second their eyes open, absorbing a stranger's vacation, another stranger's outrage, a headline designed purely to hijack attention. The other opens a book, or simply sits in silence for 5 minutes, feeding their mind something they actually chose. By 9 in the morning, one of them is reacting to the world. The other is responding to it, on their own terms. Here's a second layer. This isn't only about screens. It applies to the first conversation of the day too. Start your morning absorbing a complaint, an argument, someone else's anxiety, and you carry that borrowed weight into meetings, into decisions, into a day that was never actually yours to begin with. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the input fast. For the first 30 minutes after waking, consume nothing you didn't deliberately choose. No notifications, no group chats, no scrolling. Only what you selected on purpose. It sounds small. It changes almost everything. The ninth law is this: tonight is the real first hour of tomorrow morning. This is the law almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most practical one in this entire list. Seneca practiced reviewing his day each evening, asking himself honestly what he'd done well and where he'd fallen short. Not to punish himself, but to prepare the ground for the next day before it even arrived. Think about the morning that starts with a messy kitchen, unplanned clothes, and a decision fatigue before you've even had coffee. versus the morning that starts with everything already in its place, because the version of you from last night took care of the version of you waking up today. Here's a second way to see it. Athletes don't just train the day of competition, they prepare the night before, sleep with intention, eat with intention, because they understand that performance is decided earlier than most people assume. Your morning is a performance too. It's just decided the night before, whether you plan for that or not. This is also where most morning routines quietly fail. People build an elaborate plan for the first hour of the day and completely ignore the last hour of the night before it, then wonder why the plan collapses the first time they're tired, stressed, or running late. A morning routine without an evening counterpart is a house built on sand. It looks solid until the first real storm arrives, and it always arrives sooner than expected. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the evening handoff. Before bed, spend 5 minutes preparing exactly one thing for tomorrow's first hour, clothes laid out, a single task written down, whatever removes friction from the version of you who wakes up tired and easily derailed. You're not just ending today, you're handing tomorrow a head start. The 10th and final law is this: consistency pays a debt that excuses can never settle. Seneca wrote that it's not that we have too little time, it's that we waste so much of it. One missed morning feels harmless. 10 missed mornings feel like a pattern. 100 missed mornings become the entire shape of a wasted year. And it happens so quietly that most people don't notice until the mirror does it for them. You don't need a perfect morning. You need a repeatable one. 5 minutes of movement beats 0 minutes of motivation. One honest page beats a finished book that only exists in your head. The people who actually change their lives are rarely the most talented or the most inspired. They're simply the ones who showed up on the mornings they didn't feel like it, over and over until showing up stopped requiring motivation at all. This is also the law that makes every other law in this video actually work over time. Guarding your first hour, filtering your input, protecting your silence, none of it compounds into anything meaningful if it only happens on the days you feel inspired. Motivation was never designed to be reliable. It comes and goes on its own schedule, usually inconveniently. Consistency is what you build to replace it, so your mornings stop depending on a feeling that was never going to show up every single day anyway. Here's a tool for this law. Call it the non-negotiable minimum. Pick one action so small you have no real excuse to skip it. 10 push-ups, 1 page, 5 minutes of silence, and do it every single morning, regardless of how you feel. That tiny repeatable proof becomes the evidence your mind uses to trust you again, one morning at a time. None of these 10 laws require talent. None of them require money, connections, or luck. That's actually the uncomfortable part, if you think about it honestly. If none of it requires anything you don't already have access to, then the only real explanation for why tomorrow morning might look exactly like today is a choice made quietly by you before you've even had coffee. That's not meant to sting. It's meant to hand the power back to exactly where it always belonged. So let's bring this together. Time does not negotiate. So stop waiting for someday. Guard yourself first, because nothing survives if you don't. Regret is only wasted if you refuse the lesson inside it. Every morning, you either build your dream or rent your hours to someone else's. Silence protects what you're building until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Not every voice deserves a seat in your mind. Your environment decides before your willpower gets a chance to. What you feed your mind first shapes everything that follows. Tonight is the real first hour of tomorrow. And consistency, not intensity, is what actually changes a life. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still had to remind himself every single morning of these exact same truths. You don't need an empire. You just need tomorrow's first hour, used differently than today's was. None of this requires you to become a different person overnight. It only requires you to treat tomorrow's first hour as something worth showing up for, the same way you'd show up for anyone or anything else you actually valued. Most people never test that idea long enough to see what it does to a life. 10 mornings, then 100, then a year that looks nothing like the one before it. Comment, "I rise" right now if you're closing this video ready to actually do something with tomorrow morning, instead of just feeling inspired for the next 10 minutes. If this resonated with you, there's another video on the screen that will take you even deeper. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. It helps us reach more people who need this wisdom. Thank you for being here.